longevity lifestyle designers. This is Zach, your secrets of longevity.com. Just as the previous video to this one was on male hormonal, sexual, and reproductive health, this is the video for women, for female health in regards to hormones, sexuality, and reproductivity. So this is more of an introductory video, just like the one for the males, that there's going to be many more videos on these topics, and I'd encourage you to go to the main page of my YouTube channel, and there you will see playlists by category of different topics that I often cover on my channel. And one of them is one that deals with hormones and sexual health for both men and women. So as time goes on, I'll be adding more videos to that playlist. And so if you want to hear more about the specifics of any given thing, such as diet in terms of how it pertains to hormonal, sexual, and reproductive health, or herbalism, or some recipes, or other things, you can check out that playlist for the more specific ones. But this is just an overview video that's addressing some of the current problems that women are facing in the modern world today, and some of the broad causes of it, so that leads the way to these other videos that I'll be making in the future. And there's also some in the past on that playlist as well, which you can check out. So a lot of people simplify male and female hormones down to testosterone being the male hormone, estrogen being the female hormone. I'd like to sort of tweak your understanding of that a bit and actually say estrogen isn't the one that we want to be focused on for women, but actually progesterone. In the past, progesterone's been associated with basically fertility and pregnancy, and really only attention's been paid to that for those who are entering into that shortly. So if you're just a woman that's out there not about to get pregnant, or you're younger, or you're older, past childbirthing years, you don't need to pay attention to that. Well, the opposite is true. That hormone, progesterone, is actually basically an anti-stress hormone. And the reason it goes up when you're at your most fertile and when you're about to get pregnant or are pregnant is because it is basically acting like a shield, stress defense shield, against the ravages that estrogen causes. We're talking about certain types of estrogen like estradiol and estrone, and these tend to be what could be called the bad estrogens. You definitely need some of them, and specifically in puberty, women need the estradiol in high amounts, which initiates puberty. But at a certain point, you don't want to have those too high because they're extremely implicit and connected with a wide variety of cancers, and especially breast cancer and ovarian cancer. So you want to have those not wildly out of control, and there's big lifestyle things that can be done to accommodate and bring about a better balance of hormones overall. Now, progesterone, for women who are still fertile, they haven't gone through menopause yet, it goes through a wave of 2 weeks being high and 2 weeks being low. So progesterone is produced in larger amounts after ovulation, because that would be the time period, if the egg had been fertilized, that it would begin growing. So days 14 to 28 is usually when there's that peak, and then it drops down after the lining of the uterus has been shed. Now, there's a lot of really beneficial things with progesterone. It binds to a lot of these excess estrogens to help carry them out of the body. It can be very beneficial counteracting stress hormones, like I was mentioning, and it can also have a positive impact on many other glands in the body, such as the thyroid in particular. Progesterone really feeds the thyroid, and as women age more and more, that is one of the things that they're facing as a major problem, even more so than men, is thyroid health issues, which slows down metabolism, leads to weight gain, and then can create a whole host of problems down the road. So when we focus on a plan that supports healthy progesterone levels, and even in some cases taking in progesterone cream or topical oil solution, that can be of benefit. But there's also herbs that can raise progesterone. There's foods that do it. There's a way of eating that's a little higher in protein that can help support it. And we can also avoid the things that would negate the progesterone. So obviously, if you're surrounded by synthetic plastics, xenoestrogens, these can be very detrimental, especially at a young age during the developmental years, which set you up later in life for increased risk of breast cancer. If you're very young as a child, or you have a child, you do not want to have them being exposed to plastics, from PCBs to bisphenol A, DDT, that one's not a big deal anymore because it's been banned, but it is still out there in the environment. And phthalates, these all act as hormone disruptors and can increase the onset of early puberty in young girls. In boys, it actually delays puberty, so it has the opposite effect because it's estrogenic and can cause problems with testosterone. But in girls, it's going to cause it sooner, which in turn increases. It's well known that early puberty increases one's risk of breast cancer later in life. So these are just a few basic things we can begin to take precautions about in our own lives if we're female, but also males, and also in the lives of our partners, friends, family, children, etc. And it's very important, perhaps overall, that these synthetic estrogens are eliminated and prevented in one's environment before even the ones that your own body makes. These ones are more detrimental in my opinion. So I have some links in the drop-down menu below this video if you want to learn more and look at the references I have for some of the things I'm talking about here. Link number 1 is a great article on Ray Peat's website. He's a fantastic endocrinologist and researcher. So that talks about progesterone and its pros and the things that it does for the body that have been overlooked in modern medicine today largely. Then I'm going to talk about a few other issues facing women today which are causing health issues for them in various ways. So link number 2 below will be the reference for this one, and it is that women who abstain longer from having kids and have them later in life, or not at all even, end up increasing the risk for breast cancer, depression, other types of cancers in some cases. And this is largely, again, because when a woman enters pregnancy, she has that very increased level of progesterone, and this actually sets up one's defenses for later in life in terms of preventing cancers and things like that because it was that period. I've heard of several cases from people just I know who had, for instance, been diagnosed with ovarian cancer or breast cancer, and they happened to get pregnant very soon afterwards, and their cancer went away. In their minds, they thought, oh, my child brought about this healing for me. And yes, if you're spiritual and want to look at it that way, that's okay, but biologically, we understand that when your progesterone levels go up, you have basically immunity from cancer. Now, in today's modern society, more and more women are delaying their choice of when to get pregnant, if at all, because of their careers, just people having longer lifespans. They want to have kids later so that they're more financially stable, and that's totally reasonable. However, you do have to take into the account that there are health risks to that, both to yourself, to your future children, and one way around that, actually, in terms of your own health, is if you, for instance, don't choose to have any kids ever, you can use progesterone cream therapeutically to make up for the lost progesterone that you would have had in large amounts at certain points in your life at that time period. So progesterone, in terms of a cream or solution, you do not want to use it if you're still going through puberty unless under the care of a qualified practitioner of some sort that specializes in hormones. When you're older, post-menopause or even after 25 or so, you could use it as it is purchasable online and from some health food stores, and use it correctly. If you can follow the directions properly, use it just in that 2-week period if you're pre-menopausal. And just do your own research on it so that you really have a strong understanding of how it works and when you may be taking too much, when you're not taking enough, etc. Another major issue for women today, and this is more in the psychological realm, it's less to do about hormones, although hormones do affect this for sure, is that there's a very prevalent idea out there that women have low self-esteem, or they're often, in the majority of cases, very much on the edge of things in terms of their emotions being unstable, etc. And yes, women are generally acknowledged as being more emotional than men in terms of the fluctuations that they can go through, and it has to do with hormones and other factors. But the biggest misconception that I think a lot of women take on, but also men in some cases project onto them, and it's just a whole issue about society in general, in developed societies, is that women have this constant idea of having low self-esteem. And we see that in relation to increased media output of having a stereotypical image that women are supposed to strive for, and that does create low self-esteem in young women as they're developing and they take on these issues, etc. But according to the link below, link number 3, is that more than ever, women actually have perfectly good self-esteem. So if you're the type of person that sort of has this thing on your mind where you're concerned about perhaps you have low self-esteem or not, definitely check out that. It's a very interesting read in that article, and I felt it was very pertinent to share it in this video because that does seem to be a major factor for women today, is body issues, self-esteem, etc. But it doesn't seem to be as bad as a lot of people think it is. So the issue is more around the concern about it as opposed to the actual reality of it. Now, link number 4 below is just a general study on xenoestrogens if you wanted to learn more about their effect on health and start to look into this somewhat complex science, which needs to have a lot more research done on it. But a lot of the animal studies are clearly showing the detriments of xenoestrogens. A few human trials that have been going on show negative things as well, just not necessarily as extreme. They're not as well controlled, because it's hard to study something that's dangerous to people because you can't give it to them and say, hey, take this, we're going to study the effects it has on you. But link number 4 below is a good one where you can start if you want to look into that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of the things I've presented. Check out the links below for the references, etc. Also check out some of the links for affiliates, etc. that can help support me if you purchase through them. And share this video if you think someone else can benefit from its information. So with that, take care and embrace life without limits.